All right, it's that time to take a look at the stories in the papers making the headlines. We're going to get them across to you, get analysis as well as your contributions, because this is freshly pressed on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. My name is Ayokunmi, and welcome to another new week, a brand new week, and we get to go again. Take a look at the major happenings in the dailies across the country. You get to share your thoughts as well. So please, we love to hear from you. Send those messages in to us on WhatsApp. The number remains 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments in the chat box as well if YouTube is your preferred mode of joining us on the show this morning. I'm speaking of joining us on the show this morning, or joining me, beg your pardon. AB and Mr. C are in for analysis. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C. Good morning to all of the wonderful listeners out there. Let's make this a marvelous money-making Monday.
Good morning, Naya. Good morning, Navy. Good morning, Lagos. Let's get ready for Easter.
Yes, indeed. Let's get ready for Easter Palm Sunday. It was yesterday. So you know that another set of holidays are coming your way on Friday and Monday, another long weekend. So I know that you're just getting ready to get into the groove for that. But I'll be here in the studio doing what it is that I love to do, keeping you company, keeping you informed, and so on and so forth. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the issues this morning, Mr. C. Let's begin in The Guardian where Judge Beryl Howell of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia has ordered top law enforcement agencies to release the records of President Bola Tinubu to the public. Now, according to Howell, protecting the information from public disclosure is neither logical nor plausible. Now, he gave the order in response to a motion by one Aaron Greenspan, who had accused the law enforcement agencies of violating the Freedom of Information Act, that's the FOIA. Now, Greenspan said the agencies failed to release within the statutory time documents relating to purported federal investigations into President Tinubu and one Abiodun Agbele. Now, this is not the first time we've actually heard this. This came out a while ago. There was a huge back and forth before the presidential elections. And now it has come up again where U.S. court has ordered the agencies to actually release the records to the public. What is in them is a different story entirely, but this is where we are right now.
Okay, thank you, Ayo. So very quickly, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. In the run-up to the 2023 general election, Nigerians became aware of the existence of records and files on with regards or in connection with the current president. And at some point, redacted portions of the records were released to the public, and some portions were held back. Now, the judge has now ordered that everything should be released, that there's no justifiable reason by the law enforcement agencies in the US to continue to hold on to those records, given the fact that they've already mentioned his name and portions of his name with reference to those records are already in the public space. Now, the Supreme Court has also gone on to deliver its own verdict on the said records, even though at that point in time they were redacted. Now, for me, this is coming a bit too late, but the question I want well-meaning and reasonable Nigerians to ponder on in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead is, why does the current president even have files or records with law enforcement agencies? Did he ever work for any of them? Was he ever a director of the DEA, of the FBI, or any other law enforcement agency? Was he an employee, meaning was he an agent of the DEA, the FBI, or any other law enforcement agency? Was he a contractor for any of them? Why do they have records for him? Records in the plural sense. And why is it okay that the presidency comes out to say that there's nothing new in the records that are about to be released? I thought that statement was premature at the very least, because let's wait for the records to be released before we then determine if there's anything new or not. Or more importantly, why do you have a president who has so much controversy around him? Because think about it. in any serious country, if it was discovered that a candidate had these sort of files or records for law enforcement agencies of another country, and he was even rumored or suspected to have been involved in any suspected or alleged criminal activity, that serious country will not vote him in. It's that simple. Yes, of course, some people will say, but Trump got in. Now, the difference with the Trump situation is, depending on which side of the divide you're on, you could argue that it was politically motivated. But here it's clear, 460,000 US dollars were forfeited. And as I've repeatedly said here, you cannot get a forfeiture in a civil case. So it's a criminal proceeding, and a forfeiture flows from a finding of guilt. So if you're not found guilty, you cannot be asked to forfeit anything. So the forfeiture flowed from a finding of guilt. But for well-meaning Nigerians, we have another set of elections in 2027. Really and truly. And this is for all levels of government, including the National Assembly, state houses of assembly, local government. We cannot continue to have individuals who have controversies around their name, refuse to address or clear those controversies, and deliberately and instructively insist on running for office. At some point, we have to make a collective stand and say, enough is enough.
All right. Thank you for sharing those thoughts, Mr. C. And we wait to see what exactly will come out of this particular incident and see what the documents are going to say. The presidency has said, hey, there's nothing, there's nothing else to actually be seen there. Maybe they know what they know and we don't because we're on the outside, but time definitely will tell, and we'll be keeping our eyes on that one without a doubt. All right, let's get back into the stories here. AB, I'm bringing this one to your table. We're going to be heading into the Daily Post newspaper. Now, the recent move by the House of Representatives to slam a 5-year jail term or 500,000 naira fine or both on any person convicted for leaking examination questions, and a 3-year jail term for persons under 18 years convicted of engaging in various forms of examination malpractice has been generating mixed reactions from Nigerians. Now, this proposed legislation titled Examination Malpractices Act Repeal and Enactment Bill 2025, sponsored by a member representing Oredo Federal Constituency, Esosa Yahweh, was introduced on March 6, 2025, and is currently awaiting second reading. What are your thoughts on this one, AB? I mean, is this the way to go?
Well, let's be clear that examination malpractice has many different negative implications. It actually cheats those students who go ahead and prepare properly when others can just either within the examination copy others, or worse, get the information leaked to them in advance. So it's actually undermining the educational system. So I am all for something to be done about it. But to the best of my knowledge, there were procedures within the university overseen by the university senate to deal with examination malpractice. I'm talking about at the tertiary level. Even in secondary schools, I think if people were found to be, tampering WAEC and all that, they'll be walked out of the examination hall, and there would be sanctions against them. So I'm just saying 500,000 naira fine. That is really punishment, or a 5-year jail term for this. I don't know. I have said it up front that we do not in any way condone examination malpractice, but I'm wondering about this degree and level of fines vis-a-vis the almost lack of any consequence for what I would consider worse societal crimes by other people. Students, of course, should on the straight and narrow. Students should prepare for exams. Students should not cheat. I think something should be done to them. But I'm just wondering about this 5. So you treat in WAEC at age 11, you are caught or whatever. So you're now in jail for till 16 with hardened criminals. Is that really the appropriate? Think about it just practically. Is that really the appropriate thing to go about it? Has that not, yes, you were wrong to have cheated. Let's not get that wrong. Really addressing or much of I don't have much that they can focus on matters up with the proposal. I don't know, has it passed first, second, and third reading? At least the changing of the national anthem took all three readings in about 15 minutes. So this one too, if they want, they can also pass it in 15 minutes and it'll become a law. Let's wait and see. I don't know what they're doing there for all the money that they're paid. I don't know that these are the laws that are making the country a better place to live, work, and do business and have an opportunity to leave a legacy. So I started and I finished with this. Examination malpractice is deleterious to societal, progress. I don't want to be slugging overnight with my feet inside cold water and somebody just chilling at the back with the papers already. That's wrong. But let's make laws that actually address that, I think, in a more proportional manner.
Okay, so thank you, Ibi. Let me quickly jump in on this. So for me, this bill is lopsided. Yes, you're focusing on the students, you're focusing on the principals, the invigilators, the examiners. That's fantastic. Why? I haven't seen the bill, but there's no mention of what happens to individuals, rascals, charlatans, miscreants who produce forged certificates purporting to have presented themselves for exams and passed through schools or institutions. There's absolutely no mention of that. And it's not surprising that there's no mention of that because it is believed that quite a few members of the National Assembly are there with questionable certificates, questionable backgrounds. So let's do things properly. If we're going to attack this problem of examination malpractice, also attack the people who benefit from the system. If you present a forged certificate, you should go to jail and you should spend a long time in jail with hard labor because it's a great disservice to innocent and genuine and honest individuals who have gone through the rigors of school, sat through various exams, and then you just pull up with a forged certificate, and then you get into a position for which you are clearly not entitled or deserving of.
All right, let me take a couple of messages before they, line up beyond my control, if I can put it that way. Daniel in Festac says, even if a smoking gun is revealed in the FBI records, it's not going to change the mind of supporters of the president. Those people, their minds are hardened by bias, as far as I'm concerned. The only thing it does is to stop the gaslighting of the cleaner opposition candidates. How much cleaner, really? Is cleaner the appropriate word to use? I don't know. Opposition candidates and their supporters, they will no longer be accused of lying by the members of the ruling party. Nigeria will move on as the bar for probity is at an all-time low. This one is Stevie Kelly in Maryland says, the FBI and CIA should keep their records about the president. It's too late. When we needed it most during the elections, they played it down. Of what use will the reports be now in Nigeria in the face of money politics? And he says, Mr. C is a guru. All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts there and keep the messages coming in. Okay, this one says, I think this is Victor, says, good morning to you, to Victor, says, what about electoral malpractice? There should be immediate consequences for perpetrators. And King Joe also is echoing those thoughts that the government talking about exam malpractice, let them start from electoral malpractice as well. They should go to jail. All right, keep the thoughts coming in on WhatsApp on 0809-444-098 this morning. All right, Mr. C, let me bring this back to your doorstep right now. And yeah, let's talk about this particular story coming out of Premium Times. The Nigerian Senate has finally broken its silence on the disbarment of Neda Imasuen from practicing law in the US. Now, Mr. Imasuen, who represents Edo South District in the upper legislative chamber, is a Nigerian trained lawyer and is the chairperson of the Senate Ethics Committee. Very, very imposed. And it was reported that he was disbarred from practicing law in the US in 2010 following a petition from an American, Daphne Slyfield, who accused him of failing to represent him in a court case after he hired and paid him for it. There's a lot more to actually talk about here. And the Senate has actually, talked about this particular issue, more or less saying that nothing has been brought to their attention right here in Nigeria concerning this particular matter. So there's nothing for them to actually deliberate on. Mr. C.
Okay, so let's provide some background or context for those who are not familiar with the story. Mr. Neda is the Commissioner who is in the Senate and currently chairs the Senate Committee on Ethics, was a practicing lawyer in New York. Now, he was briefed by the client, he was paid by the client to represent the client in the matter. He did not show up, he did not represent the client, and most importantly, he did not return the money. The client the client wrote a petition to the New York Bar Association, and Mr. Marshall was given 20 or 21 days to respond to the petition. He never did. He was subsequently disbarred in New York. He then shows up in Nigeria and then wins an election. Now, it's instructive that since this matter broke out in Nigeria, Mr. Emerson has not publicly responded to this matter. Now, the Senate has been very quiet for a long time on this matter, and it's most disappointing to read the statement that a formal petition has not been made. What the Senate has powers of investigation under sections 88 and I believe 89 of the Nigerian Constitution. Now, must a formal petition be written? Now, who is going to write the formal petition in this matter? Why are they playing the ostrich? Again, in any serious country, Nigeria is not a serious country currently. Maybe we were before in the 50s and the 60s, but now it's definitely not a serious country. In any serious country, you'll be forced to resign. I was discussing with Ayo just before the show started. A US congressman was expelled from the House of Representatives from the US Congress in 2023 because of multiple offenses from money laundering to fraud to lying about his achievements, lying about his work experiences. And it went on and on. There were over 18 charges. And he was expelled.
But Mr. C, some would say that, that was an American congressman in America, but in this case, this issue happened in the US. Okay. It doesn't really concern what's going on in Nigeria.
Disappointed and shocked at that level of reasoning. I'm going to explain that. Yes, the offense happened in America, but he's the chairman of the Committee on Ethics. You would think that for one of the prerequisites for being a member of that committee is that you have integrity, that you're honest, you have a good reputation. Imagine any of the former convicted state governors suddenly being made chairman of the EFCC. For example, there's a former South governor who was convicted. Imagine if tomorrow he's made the chairman of the ICPC or the EFCC. And then the argument is the offense was committed outside the country, or he was convicted outside Nigeria. What are we doing? You don't get an ex-convict to head a committee on anti-corruption or a committee on the judiciary. You're just joking. Or you get a repented Boko Haram terrorist and say, come and chair the committee on defense. What are we doing? So this response is extremely disappointing, but not surprising, given the current state of Nigerian politics. And it is clear that, at least from the Senate perspective, they're not going to do anything, even if a petition is written. And it just brings back the ongoing saga between Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and the Senate president. And again, the Senate, why are you not interested in even investigating? At the very least, be seen to do something. But to just shut it down on the spot, I don't know where we learn these things from. And then tomorrow, some people will come out and suggest Nigeria is a serious country. I beg to disagree.
Let me take a couple of messages Before I come back to you, AB Ibrahim Zakari says, Mr. C is spot on. No need to cry over spilled milk. In the Senate climb, the INEC of that country will screen out such candidates with questions to answer. It's almost too late and unfortunate. Why is the court just approving such information? Too bad. All right. This is coming from it's coming from it's coming from Jerry. He says, Mr. C, do you want to wipe out our political class? None of them have a clean slate, so they've told you nothing new in that report. And that's how far I want to take your message, Jerry. It's not me you put inside hot soup. I will leave it at that. This JP says, so much for ethics. Sad. Cheers. Cheers to you as well, JP. All right, Mr. Sorry, AB, I beg your pardon. Let me come back to you. And we're still talking matters of education. I feel like, I've decided that AB is going to do with matters concerning education this morning. I know he doesn't mind. It's all about the betterment of the country at the end of the day. Heading into the vanguard, where the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, has raised an alarm over what it describes as a secret agreement between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, regarding the disbursement of a 50 billion naira earned allowance. Now, NASU has warned that any attempt to favor ASU over other unions in the allocation of the funds could trigger a new wave of industrial unrest. AB, I will allow you to take it from here.
So the thing about this story is it's potentially exacerbating divisions within the university community. Ordinarily, the very root of the word university has the same root for unity and unison, UNI, together. But somehow there is a division between the academic staff, where that is primarily why people go to a given university to learn, and the non-academic staff, who are essential also to make sure that education goes on. And the one thing that made me worried about this story is the following line from a member or a representative of NASU. We strongly suspect the government intends to pay the 50 billion to just one union. So this entire brouhaha seems to be coming up based on a suspicion.
We can't hear you clearly, AB.
Objective evidence. Now,
AB, the connection the connection isn't fantastic. You're breaking in and out, in and out. We can't hear you right now, AB.
Sorry, AB.
I don't know.
Okay, I think that has happened naturally. Let me take a message really quickly here. Dio Lagos says, good morning to you too, Dio. I want to ask you, journalists, because you guys are hypocritical with the truth. I'm doing eye service for the government presently. INEC is not distributing voters cards to people. Are you sure this message is for us, Dio? Because there seems to be no connection with what we've been discussing.
Sounding any better? Am I sounding any better now?
Yes, you are, AB. Fingers crossed it stays that way.
Let's try it. So all I was saying was that in that story, the people who are making this comment are saying that they have a strong suspicion, not that they have evidence yet that government is planning to do this, but that gives government an opportunity to engage in proactive communication to say exactly what is intended. They say there was a secret meeting held. If it was a secret, how do you know about it? I don't know. But the key thing is that divisions within the university community must be discouraged, because the whole point of university education is to create a harmonious environment in which students can learn and knowledge can be enhanced. Most of the things that have happened in the world today have come from research activities at various universities and research institutions. Nigeria has a huge population. It has some of the best, most brilliant brains in the world. our university community can be the greatest source, not only of wealth, but of hope and legacy for this country.
Right.
So let the government make sure that they distribute these allowances from far back as 2009 to all those who are due to get them.
All right. Thank you for sharing those thoughts there, AB. Very much appreciated. And the connection was a whole lot better. Let me see. YouTube, a couple of comments on YouTube. Kule Windakwa says, chilling with my feet inside cold water. Wow, memories. I never did that, so I cannot relate, but I guess AB and Mr. C can understand.
You went to a school with ACIO, that's why.
You are greatly mistaken, AB. You are greatly mistaken. That's all I will say on the matter. All right, Mr. C, let's jump into the Daily Trust, where this story says the management of Lagos State University of Science and Technology, that's LASUSTECH, has dismissed 3 lecturers over sexual harassment. The dismissed 3 lecturers were Mr. Nuruddin Hassan from Mass Communication, Mr. Karim Aribabu, and Mr. Olayinka Uthman from Arts and Design Department. According to a memo titled Dismissal of Staff Members Due to Sexual Harassment Allegations, the decision to dismiss the lecturers were concluded after deliberation by the institution's governing council in accordance with Section 5.5.2 of the university's senior staff conditions of service. Because of time, Mr. C, I'll let you weigh in on this one.
Okay, so very quickly, kudos to Lagos State University of Science and Technology for taking this bold step, because we need to contrast that with an ongoing situation in the Federal School of Equity, where the Vice Chancellor was shockingly and surprisingly cleared of a similar allegation without any serious investigation. So this is quite commendable. And lecturers, teachers, professors must remember that in positions of authority over their students, it is not uncommon that when people of the opposite gender come together, feelings may develop, people may be attracted to each other. Now, if you know as a lecturer you like your student, allow the student to graduate first. Then whatever intention you want to profess, go ahead and profess it and be ready to accept whatever answer you receive in return. But to do that whilst you're in a position of authority over the student is wrong and is condemnable each and every single time. So again, kudos to the school, and I wish all Nigerian schools would toe this line. And I do sincerely pray that these guys are unable to get any proper employment here until it can be clearly established that they have truly repented from their immoral and wrong ways and unethical behavior.
All right, let me take your messages because time has absolutely flown by as we round up on the show this morning. Oluwaseyi says, Nigerian Senate will explain tire on this Natasha matter. Imagine who they had heading their ethics committee and look at who his people voted to represent them. We're not ready to be a serious country. Tony in Marine Beach says, he's quoting, there's nothing new in the report. What a reckless statement coming from a government official. This is impunity personalized. Has any of them ever agreed there was any bad report anywhere? How did we get here? In saner climes, the legislators will begin to sharpen their impeachment swords. Successive APC governments have made nonsense of our laws. I think it's successive governments, really, APC or otherwise. Do we still have a country? It's the same story when asking an elected governor to go and implement court orders while the he says the planted in quote sole administrator goes against the court order to appoint local government administrators. So sad. I feel so sorry for my country. Ajayi Oloniloa in Magodo Jerry Sherry says that examination malpractices bill to fine and jail convicted students to the tune of 500,000 and 3 years respectively is another of the many ridiculous bills being considered by this National Assembly that is completely out of tune with our reality. May God help us. And this is coming from Chioma. Good morning to you, Chioma. Apologies for that one. Don't worry. Tomorrow it's going to be business as usual. Apologies for that. A lot of things to sort out on the back end. Well, thank you for tuning in. Better late than never, as they say. All right, we need to call it a morning on the show. Thank you so much for keeping it tuned, for being a part of the conversation, sharing your thoughts as well. And also a very big thank you to you, Mr. C and AB, for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Sorry about the bad network. It's hard to have a good network in a dysfunctional country. But let's go ahead and make the best of what we can in the week ahead. And happy Easter in advance. I hope everybody enjoyed Palm Sunday.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, Odi. Thank you, Lagos. Let's just enjoy. Let's just receive peace, fruitfulness, profitability, and productivity this week.
Just peacefulness, profitability, and productivity this week. Just make sure you do all you need to do. Cross all your T's, dot all your I's as you get ready to enjoy the Easter weekend. It's still a while away, but don't worry, got you covered. It's smooth 98.1. The locker room comes up at 8:50.